Okay, so next we'll talk about EQ. Let's get rid of the current effect, which is a delay. And now we will click on effects again. And we will go back to Coco's folder and we will look for the one called RIA EQ. Okay, and we'll add that in. So this is what your window should look like. So at the moment, there's nothing happening because there's no, everything is exactly as it is in the original. And what you can do here is you can add various filters. So what does that mean? It means that, so if you listen to the sound, you see that this kind of wave shows up. I'm gonna actually make it and toggle repeat so we can hear over and over. Okay, so it's repeating. It's not a delay, by the way. I'm just playing it over and over and over and over. Okay. And you know what? Actually, let's change the sound. I think it's going to drive us crazy. Let's go to View, Media Explorer. Let's do our. Let's do this one. Okay. So that's what that sounds like. Okay, so this is the original. And I'm going to. Yeah, let's do it just up to here. And then we will extend the selection a little bit so that it's just going to repeat over and over. Okay. Now, again, I didn't create these to line up with the meter or anything. It's just a sound. Okay. Just something to mess around with. Okay. So what you see here is like the frequency spectrum. So this shows you where the frequencies that are happening. Let me turn it off. Where the frequencies that you are hearing lie with respect to the audible range. So you see this number here says 20K, and then down here, presumably this would be something like 20 hertz. And that's basically the range of frequencies that we are able to hear. And so the majority of this lies somewhere between I don't know, 20 and it looks like, I don't know, 5 to 10,000, and then it kind of rolls off. So what you could do is you could boost various various chunks of these frequencies, or you could almost cut out completely a certain part of them. So let's say you really don't want to have, and this is actually quite often the case, you have like a rumbly sound, which you don't really hear until you play through a very big speaker. Now you hear all this noise. You're like, oh my God, where did that come from? Because most speakers won't be able to reproduce certain frequencies. So one common thing to do is to add a high pass filter. And so what that does, so this allows you to choose the type of filter. So notice that we're adding different, so these numbers correspond to these, okay? You see how they highlight? So in this case, let's say we can add 4 different ones, but we can add more bands, okay? So if we only had one, we could do a high pass. And what the high pass would do, and now that we have it here, we can stretch it. What it does is it basically cuts off anything that is lower than this frequency. So this is our cutoff frequency. Okay, and you could do this kind of intuitively and by listening, which is kind of nice about these. You can graphically move things around, not really having to worry about exactly what you're working with. But it does also give you the range. The corresponding note is, like as if you were looking at it on a piano or on a staff, which is kind of nice. So you won't hear much of a difference because we don't really hear down here that well, especially with headphones. Okay, but that's all well and good. So this is sometimes useful to do just right off the bat. But let's just say that I wanted to really truly alter the sound just to see what it would sound like. So what I could do is I could add a different kind of filter. And let's call this, let's go to band, and let's see what happens if we change that. Okay, so what this will do is it'll affect a specific band of frequencies, okay? And so this is what you would call the center frequency, right? So that 2 is shifting, and now I can change the gain. And what I'm doing basically is I'm saying to Reaper, hey, or to the EQ, I guess, take this group of frequencies with the center and kind of roll off on either side and boost them up. So make this area of the audible of the sound louder. Or you could do it the other way. You can make it softer. Okay, so let's take a listen. And then this other option over here will change the width of it. So if I make it very, very specific, it'll now make this tiny little section more kind of audible. So let's try that and take a listen, okay? You hear? So that became kind of more nasal. Here. Now it's very audible when you shift it around. Right. Okay. And so that's that. And then let's try a different one for number 3. Let's do high pass. Actually, no, I'm sorry, that was number 1. What did I do? High pass. Oh yes, so high pass, I meant to do low pass. Low pass. And now we have kind of the opposite of that other one, okay? So here we're cutting out all the very high frequencies. Very often filters or EQs are useful when you have noise. Like if there's a little bit of a noise in a certain area, you can try to use this. So let's say that I had a noise right in this region, I could try to cut it down. It's not always that simple because unless the noise is really kind of in a different area of the sound that you're recording, it may affect the sound. But anyway, so good. But you can think of this as, so let's get rid of this one. So you can think of this as kind of a way to just, to make the sound, perhaps in the simplest term would be something like make the sound brighter or darker, okay? So take a listen. I'll try to move these two, just with these two around and see what we can come up with, okay? So I'm gonna push this up. Now I'm gonna narrow it. You see how it's changing? So it's darker. And if I want it to be brighter, right? So you could basically effectively change the color of the sound. Now at a more, I suppose, refined level, when you have lots of tracks at the same time, it's useful to use EQ to kind of determine where each sound sits. And you can use EQ to sort of bring a sound out a little bit more, but particularly if it's in a similar frequency range as another instrument or sound, you can maybe change it somewhat so that they stay out of each other's way and they can be heard better in the mix. So I encourage you to mess around with these. Now these, all of these effects, I forgot to mention, come with a series of pre-built presets that you can try. So let's say mud-free, I don't know, that's like different things that you can try. And these are just combinations of different filters set up to do different things. And you can then move things around and see what that does for you, okay? Anyway, so you can try all of this stuff. And good, so that's that.